Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Look here at ICP, seeing what's going on. We have some interesting behavior here. We're going to talk about this potential bearish pattern, but also previous bullish patterns that haven't worked out. So I'd be very careful putting a lot of emphasis on patterns lately. We've seen a ton of manipulation. We had this awesome bull pennant pattern here that was looking like ready to break out. Didn't happen. Of course, Bitcoin had another agenda, but Bitcoin also had the same exact flag pattern, right? So again, this falling wedge breakout, price comes up, and now we're back in the doghouse. So again, just kind of wanted to leave that up for you so you can see just how shenanigan-full the market is right now, and just know that it's an interesting way to trade. Again, unless you're just like day trading and specifically watching the charts the whole time, swing trading can be a little bit more challenging now. There's no other way around it. So in that sense, what we want to do is kind of look at this descending trend line. We're going to kind of have to pay attention to this guy and see roughly, how this pans out. We got a previous support level here that we're testing right now so far that isn't holding. Not great. Again, this is only on the hourly, but our local low here is about 707. With us closing below that, that might be a bearish sign. So we'll look at that and a few other things here. Let's go ahead and take a peek at some back-end liquidation levels first, kind of recognize where we're at first. I do want to recommend and just preface here first, BTCC, newer exchange that we're working with here, making sure that we provide you with really good options, alternatives for KYC or VPN requirements, right? A BitUnix, phenomenal exchange, still recommend them too, but this is a good alternative in case you're looking for one. It's good, nothing wrong with that. What I always recommend too is having two exchanges, so that way you can have one for day trading, one for swing trading. You never want to commingle the two. Yeah, just some friendly advice. It's hard to wear both hats at the same time, specifically if you're pulling from the same pool. All right, so ICP last 7 days, what are we looking at here? Well, we can see a pretty big concentration there, closer to $8, the more local high, with some liquidation there at 780. We can also see with our macro, a lot more liquidation on the downside, about 640. Yeah, so it would seem more sensible for ICP to go down than up at this point, especially now that we've kind of swept that lower level. We closed below that level here today. I think we're probably more likely to see further downside. Because again, ICP is not performing very well. We compare this chart with the Bitcoin chart. While Bitcoin is pretty gross and ugly right now, ICP has been that way for a little while, right? We've been consistently pulling back, similar in a lot of ways to Bitcoin, but just almost more aggressive, right? Again, that doesn't mean it's just going to drop like a rock. It just implies we got to be careful with taking a trade no matter which direction you take, okay? Again, I like to recommend being careful and cautious at all times, because sometimes people will just get a little too ahead of themselves, right? If we see the local point of control here, let's actually zoom out a little bit, get more specific. This is not necessarily local, but this is basically 1 month's worth of trading. We can see 725 is that new resistance. So what was a support is probably into the new resistance. So $7.25, just shooting from the hip, is a potential area of resistance, and in turn, good place to consider a short. All right, just throwing it out there, just giving you the idea. That's generally how you want to try to play that. Again, that's big picture. We zoom in a little bit, it does change the dynamic. In the last, however long we've been in this range, just say the last 7 days, our point of control is about 720, roughly the same. Cool. All right, so at 0.65, 0.618 fib level, that should be the new resistance moving forward. That's if we even come back to that range. I mean, Bitcoin looks like it wants to come down as low as 53, even lower. And if that is the case, we're going to be in some serious trouble with ICP. Okay, you may just have to try to catch a falling knife at that point. We do take a look at big picture, though. We can see our TSI is pretty much maxed out. That's a trend strength indicator. We can also recognize MACD is still diverging. Until MACD converges and TSI starts to come closer to zero, generally speaking, it's unfavorable to take a long. Now, I know by the dip, you can get that. You probably have a little bit of luck, but it's really what it is. If you're taking long right now with altcoins, it's luck. We took along with Bitcoin at 58K, and thankfully had a tight stop loss, let that thing stop out. I'm actually very happy that worked out, because now we're at 50 in the 53K range, and having held that open would have been terrible. Okay. Again, we played that bull flag, that bull pennant pattern. It didn't work out. Trade closed out. Okay. Hindsight, I could have closed out a little earlier, but unfortunately, I was sleeping when the stop loss is. So that's just kind of how it goes. Either way, we're not here for that. But the whole point of that is that taking losses is part of the game. But if you can take less losses if you are respecting the trend. And right now, the trend is down. Other ways to look at it here: we're under 50 on the RSI, MFI is low, and stochastic still struggling. So there's nothing here on the daily that's really beneficial. I forgot to look at the SMAs, but I think they're going to be way above us, which it is. Okay. 4-hour time frame, same thing as well. Until we get over the 20-day at the very least, we have no reason to consider a long position. Okay. So we're still kind of waiting here for this trend line to be broken, essentially. We can see here as well, we're under 50 on the RSI. Stochastic's trying to swing up. TSI is super, super low. And of course, we can see we have a significant momentum to the downside. So while I feel terrible recommending a short, you're going to find a lot more success right now shorting, even though it feels like we're right at the bottom. Okay, so again, shorting the bottom is never a great call, but at this point, that's kind of where we're at here. So let's take a quick look at a couple of things really quick first, just before we part ways. Let's take a look at the Ichimoku Cloud and confirm, which, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you probably know Cloud is confirming there's no reason to take a long position. If you do take a short, I'd recommend just watching it closely, because a lot of coins do have this knee-jerk reaction and respond, because if Bitcoin does bottom out soon, we will see ICP take off. But for right now, we can presume the trend is going to continue lower. Bitcoin rather looks like it's going to drop its 54,000 tentative support bottom. And by the way, 54,000 is not a strong support. It's just a daily candlestick close, the lowest candlestick close we've seen in this range since we've been in it. So we close below 54K, Bitcoin will probably start running towards 49, maybe 51,000, somewhere in that range. It's a distinct probability. Okay, it may even do that today. We have no idea. It's on a tear, and you don't want to try to bet against it. Having said all that, we're looking pretty bad on the hourly. There's no other way around it. Nothing really here telling us we're in good shape. So I don't like what I see here for ICP at the moment. I think it's looking pretty bad. If we close below the 705 range, then I think further downside makes sense. But if the price does come up here, test this descending trend, you might want to consider a short in the 710 to 720 range. Anyways, for right now, that's what's probable. Between now and the time that happens, you got to recognize things are going to change. You might want to reevaluate. Don't just take this analysis right now, 3 days later, and be like, okay, this is still valid. Unfortunately, this doesn't last too long in the market, based on how stinking fast things have been moving and how terrible the market has been. So that's where we're at. All right, folks, once more, make sure you check out BTCC, awesome exchange, good alternative there, just for no KYC or VPN required exchange. Still recommend Unix, of course, but it's a good secondary for you if you're curious. I look forward to working with you either way. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks again so much for your time. Take care.